Hello and welcome to Quad Radio and the Quarantine Files. I'm Rodney Tomlin, along today with our special guest, the six-time ATV motocross champ, Chad Wienen. And, of course, before we get to Chad, I want to take this opportunity to say a special thanks to many fine folks that helped make it all possible, including our friends there at, of course, DP Brakes. What's stopping you? That's the big question on everyone's mind, and hopefully that's the only thing that's stopping you other than the quarantine that's going on. Hopefully it's slowing you down a little bit and keeping you out of public's way anyway. And, of course, want to take this opportunity to say thanks also to Ladon Racing. Jeremy Ladon, former ATV motocross racer, still does a lot of support over there with his race team, and also our good friends in the GNCC Racing Series, as he does both two-wheel and four-wheel action over there. So I want to say thanks to Ladon Racing. Also want to take this opportunity to say thanks to Phoenix Racing, of course, ATV Motocross, GNCC, Arena Cross, Supercross, Motocross, you name it, they've got their hands in it. I want to say thanks to those folks. Also would like to take this opportunity to say special thanks to Chillin Energy Racing, as, of course, they've really stepped up here in the 2020 season. Of course, they're more known for their GNCC efforts, but also ATV and motorcycles. So I want to say thanks to Todd and the folks over at Chillin Energy Racing. And, of course, to you, the GNCC Racing Nation, for being a big part of all the great things that are going on here. I know I'm probably forgetting someone at this particular point, but we will certainly say thanks to them. Oh, yeah, our good friend John Coffey at AMSOY. I want to say thanks to him as well. And also this guy right here, Chad Wienen. Big Chad, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, not much. Just nice Monday morning after Easter weekend. So just been kind of just hanging out here at the house and enjoying Florida weather, man. It's been great.
So that was my next question. Did you elect to stay in Florida, or did you go back home out west where things were a little more quiet as far as the COVID-19 thing going on?
Yeah, we decided to stay here in Florida just because the weather isn't quite cooperating back home yet in Illinois. And man, I mean, I think in this time, I really don't think it affects us as much because we can get outside and we can be outside and do other things. Like back home in Illinois, it's been raining. It actually snowed a little bit just the other day. So it's like, it's not ready for me to come home just yet.
I don't blame you, man. I'm stuck up here in Ohio right now. I mean, it's good because I'm at home. I'm getting to spend time with my daughter, with my grandson, with my son. You know, I mean, all that's all good and everything like that. I'm getting a lot of work done around the house. So that's good. So hopefully, I can get everything done. It's all, what's going to happen is this thing's going to be all over and everything's going to be back on. I'm going to be like, but I didn't get this and this and this and this. And I didn't get any of that stuff done.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you on the yard work. We've been busy down here as well. Doing things that we typically wouldn't normally get a chance to do. And, it's been good. It's easy for us, between Danica, Lakin, and myself to really seclude ourselves from everybody else down here, just being that we don't have a ton of family here. So it's easier for us to be in our quarantine and be the tight knit group of family that we have here. So I mean, yeah, it's definitely different on the outside, but I mean, realistically, it's been really good for our family to be together and for me be a dad and not having to be on the hustle of going to ride several days a week and training. And so it's been a little more laid back, which I've been enjoying that part of it.
That's another question that I've got. I've heard different people's take on the whole training aspect during this COVID-19. I was talking with Mackenzie Tricker on the 10 seconds off-road XE cast, the XE off-road cast that I do, and she said that she hasn't been training as much, and when she does and when she rides, she trains off the bike, but on the bike she hasn't been doing nearly as much training because she says the last thing she wants to do right now is get injured and have to go to the emergency room. Is that something that's on the back of your mind? Are you staying off the bike as much and maybe not overtraining? Because obviously we're not racing right now and the series is going to be completely different than it ever has been, so your peak times are going to have to be different too, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it'd be like GNCC with their summer break. everything's just pushed back, and I don't know when we're going to be back. So, I mean, hopefully, you know, come end of May, June, that, you know, we'll be able to get back racing. But I mean, I just been taking the time to, you know, my level's already been really high, and I'm trying to maintain it, but not necessarily push it to another level. You know, just trying to stay fresh, ride a couple days a week, and you know, just, I mean, it's the biggest thing is, you know, just not getting myself burnt out, you know, by the time we go racing again, because it'll be summertime. So that'll be really weird for us, you know, going for professional, going to round 2, possibly in June, you know. So it's going to be a different thing, but you just got to be ready, you know, when the time comes for us to get back on the gate and give it everything we got.
Man, I know it has to be tough on everybody. I mean, you in particular. I mean, you got a new fire. I mean, you the way things went down last year. I know you came out of last year's championship really hungry, really with a point to prove. You know, and you come out at Daytona, you're on fire. Things are going great, and then all of a sudden the brakes get put on everything, man. I mean, that has to be. I mean, does it affect you in any way mentally, or like you said, you're just taking it as just a long break?
I mean, I'm taking it as a long break, and, you know, I do remember, you know, how everything went down at Daytona. So I feel like I am leaving that place and carrying momentum, you know, whenever we can carry it till when we get back on the gate. But I think it gives a lot of other riders a chance to up their fitness level or up their machines to maybe get back into the swing. And, you know, like talking to Joe on the podium, he's like, oh man, I'm going to need some more power this year. Like, he found some more power. So I feel like they're going to be using this time to possibly find some more. But I mean, it's, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, there's nothing you can do to control it. But I just focus on myself and how I can better myself when the time is time for me to go.
Right, and I totally understand that. I mean, just knowing that, I mean, knowing the fitness level you're at, knowing the power that your machine is performing at right now. I mean, you got to feel super confident. You're just probably chomping at the bit right now, waiting for round 2, whenever it's going to be.
Yeah, realistically, like, I mean, I was ready to go for Texas, and, you know, when, you know, south of the border, you know, all that. But, you know, everything happens for a reason, and you know, we make the most out of every situation, and the time will be here soon enough where we can get back on the track and we can battle it out again. And, you know, I feel the most confident in my fitness level, my machine, like, everything is just working so well this year. And I just really hope we can get back to racing. And, you know, I got not necessarily a lot to prove, but a lot to showcase, you know, what we've been working on in the off season. And, you know, my health is good, and, you know, it's going to be a long break, and I got to keep up my health and, you know, try not to push the envelope too much when I go ride and practice. And, you know, it's just kind of, you know, you're backing it down a little bit now, and then you start to ramp it back up when we're starting to get closer to our next scheduled event.
For sure. And we'll talk about the next scheduled event, maybe, you know, a little bit about that. But I want to talk about, of course, Daytona. I want to talk a little bit about the off season. I want to talk a little bit about the new talent coming up, you know, where Chad Wienen is sitting in a mindset. And we'll do all that when we return here on Quad Radio, the Quarantine Files, in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Walker Fowler, and this is a DP brake rotor. And these are DP brake pads. Larry Mills and DP Brakes have been a part of my program for over a decade. Recently, we completed the Heartland Challenge, a 10-hour ATV endurance race that is not only physically demanding, but demanding on my machine and my parts. And that is why we choose DP brake pads. At the end of the race, we had 0 brake failures, and they looked brand new. If you aren't using DP brakes, what's stopping you? Literally.
Did you know you can save up to 25% and receive free shipping on great AMSOIL products with their preferred customer program? AMSOIL also has special pricing arrangements and free shipping for commercial accounts such as trucking companies, loggers, landscapers, and businesses like yours. Or if you have a business and would like to begin selling AMSOIL products, you could qualify to participate in the AMSOIL retail account program. You could become an independent AMSOIL dealer and build and grow your own profitable businesses. For more information, call John Coffey, your full-service AMSOIL dealer, at 877-694-4763 and leave him a message. John Coffey and AMSOIL, your first call for synthetics.
Series for their support and continued efforts in growing the sport at the grassroots level. Be sure and check them out on their Facebook page and show up at one of these great races.
XC Parts Solutions is now available trackside at all GNCCs. Open Friday, noon till 6, Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. XC Parts Solutions is a Moose Racing and Parts Unlimited dealer with a great inventory of Moose Racing products along with needed parts for bikes and quads. If you need raincoats, they got them. Umbrellas, they got them. Elephant ears for those mud races, they got them. Dry erase boards and markers, they have those too. Come by for a great deal on a great selection of Moose goggles and tear-offs used by a number of GNCC racers, located on Vendor Row next to the Moose Racing Transporter. XC Parts Solutions can take orders at the track and it can be shipped right to your house. Late need orders for in-stock products received before noon on Wednesdays can be picked up at the track. Email xcpartsolutions@gmail.com, on Instagram @xcparts, or give them a call at 931-854-1100 or 931-261-2004. And don't forget, all racers will receive rider support pricing from XC Parts Solutions.
Impact Solutions is your factory-authorized Elka suspension dealer in the USA. Located in Little Hocking, Ohio, give them a call today for service, parts, warranty, and sales, as well as technical support, 740-989-2026. And be sure and give them a like on Facebook. Impact Solutions.
Hi, this is Stephanie from JSR Moto Designs. JSR Moto Design specializes in replacement Nerf bar nets for all makes and models that can be fully customizable to your needs. Our custom apparel can be specifically designed for your race team. We can help make what you wear personal on and off the track, including embroidered or printed hoodies, jackets, t-shirts, hats, jersey lettering, butt patches, and more. Check us out at jsrmotodesigns.com or find us on Facebook and Instagram.
Quad Radio would like to say thanks to the New England ATV Motocross Series for their continued support of Quad Radio and for supporting quad racing at the grassroots level. Be sure and check out their Facebook page and their website, and a race real soon. And welcome back to Quad Radio, the Quarantine Files. Rodney Tomlin along with Chad Wienen, and of course Chad in his home down in sunny Florida, quarantined. That's not the worst place in the world to be quarantined. What's the weather like? I mean, I didn't even ask you what it was like there today.
Oh gosh, today's supposed to be a high of like 93 degrees here today.
Kiss my
Yeah.
ASS, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here looking at 50 degrees right now. It's cloudy. I got rain, high wind warnings, and all kinds of crazy stuff going on up here in Ohio right now.
Yeah, it's a really warm day here today. Went out for a nice run this morning. Humidity is so high right now compared to what it's been. Like I just opened up our sliding door this morning, and you could just feel like that humidity just roll into the living room. And I'm like, all right, well, it's gonna be a warm one today. And I checked, and it was like mid-90s today. So I'm like, wow, all right, we're gonna have some fun with it and put in some good off the machine training today.
Doggone it, man! I wish I was a little closer, man. I'd come and pitch a tent in your yard or something, because I'm telling you, it is the weather up here in Ohio, like you were talking about back home where you're from. I mean, in Illinois, it's crazy. I mean, I get basically the same thing I think that your mom and dad and everybody gets out there on the farm. So you know what I'm being faced with right now. But Chad, yeah, I wanted to talk about this. The off season. Let's talk about Daytona first. Obviously, you came in to Daytona. I mean, you had you said it just before the break. You know, not necessarily a point to prove, but some things to showcase. And I think you know, that was pretty obvious there. I mean, I didn't really see anything different out of Chad Wienen other than. Maybe there was a little more determination. Maybe there was a little more hunger. I mean, I don't want to say you'd gotten complacent for so many years, but that little incident at Redbud last year was kind of I mean, even though, I mean, yeah, it was kind of earth shattering, man. I mean, it changed the face of the championship. It changed everything, man. I mean, coming into Daytona, I mean, I'm sure there was a lot more fire and a lot more hunger.
Yeah, I mean, every year, you know, you come off of a championship, you know, winning year the prior year, and then you come off of just coming up short. And, you know, it actually relights some fire. But I mean, I think the biggest thing that I worked on this year was just my machine. Like, I came from the Quad Cross of Nations in Germany, and I came straight home and we started testing. You know, we still had a couple months to do some suspension testing, and I really worked hard on that before I came down to Florida. And we already had a really good setting from that coming to Florida. And then we made some more couple tweaks here, and like, we got my machine where it settles into turns so much faster. Like, the unpredictability is kind of gone, and you know, you can only go as fast as what your machine will allow you to. And I'm very good at like riding that edge of you know, being under control and not having like the big hiccups and problems. But you know, I think that from that problem at Redbud, I think that relit the whole thing. Like, I had to ride the machine harder than I've ever had to try and go out and win that championship. And you know, just, I got to be able to find ways to ride it smoother and faster by setting up my machine a little bit better. So that's kind of what we did in the off season. And you know, this whole thing with you know, coming up short, you know, it everything, you know, God has a plan for everything. And you know, I think it gave me the opportunity for me to better myself, better my program. And you know, I'm happy of that. You know, I feel like this year I'm going to come out and I'm going to be a new rider and be able to ride. I think I can ride out front a lot more this year. And you know, we got a very good engine program too, and that we changed this year a little bit. And the tuning on the machine has been great. And you know, I just feel like we have a total package this year. And I'm not going to be the rider that is going to go out and win a championship this year being the most consistent. I'm going to be the fastest guy this year.
Wow. And that's a big statement. I mean, because you've always been fast, but you've always hung your hat on the consistency part of it. And that's what's won the championships in the past.
Yep.
And it will too, in the future too,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm just adding to my, you know, my artillery, you know, just being able to have the speed when I use it, when I need it.
Yeah, and I mean, you know it. You've probably heard it. People say, yeah, well, you know, if Joel hadn't have broke down in Texas, if this hadn't have happened, you know, Joel's faster. Or I'm sure you hear the buzz. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, upset you or poke any bears or anything. So, I mean, that has to be kind of a fire lighter also.
Yeah, I mean, it is. But, you know, I know that the championship paychecks, they cash the same, you know, over everything else. And I've been in that situation before. Back, you know, in my early years riding for Suzuki, I was the fastest guy, and I'd always come up short on the championship because I broke my stuff. So I've learned from those days of, you got to be able to survive in your machine. There's a balance of having that speed and that also smarts of, you know, what your machine is capable of to finish an event. And you know, it's yes, I'd like to be the fastest guy every single time on the track, but there's a little something in the back of my head that tells me, you know, just ride your own race and don't worry about anybody else, and add up the points at the end of the year and see where you stand.
You know, and that's what works. I mean, it's worked 6 times so far, almost 7. I mean, almost 8, really. I mean, when you look at the big picture and the consistency that you've had, I mean, what'd you go? Almost 8 complete seasons or 7 complete seasons on the podium without finishing off the podium till there at Redbud that day?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long streak, but, you know, that's just testament to like our program that we have and the people behind us, and, you know, how much faith I have in everything. You know, you got to have that going on the track. You can't have that fear in the back of your mind of, you know, a wheel breaking off or a spindle breaking, you know, you got to have confidence in your stuff. And, you know, I think that goes a long way, you know, with, you know, Joel last year having those issues and having a lot of engine issues. Like, I feel like he started to lose some confidence in his machine. Like, how many times you going to walk off the track and not cross the finish line, you know? So I feel like with my machine, the Yamaha, like it's a total package, and you know, we're just trying to better it as much as we can every year.
Right, and I completely understand exactly what you're saying there. Now, you mentioned there a few moments ago, you were talking about the Quad Cross of Nations. So let's go back there. I mean, here you come off of a heartbreaking championship season, but I mean, you'd had a couple months to, I think, swallow that pill at that particular point. What was it like meshing this year, this past year as a team with Joel, knowing how close the championship was again? I mean, I know that's kind of a silly question, but at the same time, I mean, were there any animosities? Were there any, you know, I mean, was there anything in the back of your mind, or do you let that kind of stuff go?
I mean, with that event, like you kind of let everything go. Like, I was at peace that, you know, Joel was a faster rider than me last year. Like, that was like that he had just a little, he had more speed than I could, and he could withstand it longer. So I wasn't like, you know, trying to butt heads with him or anything like that. We were a team now. So, you know, going to that event, you know, we're in the truck, or not in the truck, but the container that we take over there is, you know, we're in there sharing, you know, lines and stuff on the track. You know, we're trying to help each other out. So it's definitely a different atmosphere there, something that we're 100% not used to, but it's a good feeling because you compete against these guys so much that you're going out there and you're trying to help each other to, and the ultimate goal. So it's actually a really, really cool feeling because usually you're keeping secrets from each other, and now you're sharing them. So
Right.
that's one time, you know, one event a year that we can do that. So it's very cool that we can lay our hair down and just go over there and perform.
What is it like at that level? I mean, you guys, I mean, there's a lot going on. You got a livelihood. Both of you guys have a livelihood going on whenever you're competing on the ATV motocross national scene and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure at times you guys have been friendly and close. I mean, is it hard to be the comrades, the buddies? You know, I mean, you would think that you guys would share so much in common that you would be best friends, but at the same time, you are so competitive against each other, you would almost think that you hate each other. I mean, I don't know what the relationship's like. I mean, what is it like between you guys?
Well, I mean, I think it's better and better every year. Like, we all know at the end of the day that the most important thing is going home safe to your family. And I think you really realize that when, you know, I had my baby boy Lincoln, and, you know, it really hits home when you're like, all right, like, I'm his dad. I got to go home and be his dad. And, you know, he's got to go home, be a father to his daughter. You know, it's like, there's more to life than just racing and, you know, being on the gate and holding that #1 trophy. But it's a very good feeling, and it adds to happiness. But I think the biggest thing at the end of the day, like, I have to be able to be a dad and provide for my family, and racing is how we provide for our families. And it's, you know, winning, we provide a better living for our family. So it's like, you know, I'm a good guy to pick my battles and when I go and when I, you know, chill out, and I'll settle for a podium spot. And I think Joel has, you know, he's got a wire. Definitely, he's wired to go all out all the time. So it's just like one of those things. Like, we talked to the banquet, and we're like, hey, like, this year, let's just go out and race and come home safe and let the best man win. You know, and that's kind of how we left it. And, you know, I think I didn't grow up, he's a lot younger than I am, so we didn't grow up in the same class of, you know, going through the ranks, so I don't spend a lot of time with him. But like Thomas Brown, like, he's younger than I am, but he's the second youngest guy in our class right now. So we shared a lot more time, you know, for me coming up through the ranks and himself. Like, he was always one more class behind me, but I've always like been good friends with him since, 2006, 2007, so I've known him forever. And then Jeffrey, like, I've known Jeffrey since he was in the youth ranks as well, but like, we've always been really good friends, but we just never like, been ones to like spend a ton of time together. Like, it always seemed like we never quite linked up. Like Thomas, he would travel everywhere. This kid will drive anywhere to go ride and have fun. And he always seemed like he came to where I was at, and we got along really well. So it's kind of like camaraderie there. So like Thomas and I share something really special, like the friendship. And when we go racing, like, we want to beat each other. We don't want each other to finish in front of, one of another. Like, if there's one guy in the track I know Thomas wants to try and beat, it's me. And, same, like, Thomas, like, but if I can't win, I want, my good friend to be able to have a chance to win if I can.
Right. And that's a good position to be in too. And it also helps out in the championship battles. If he wins, beats Joel, your other competitor.
Yeah. But I mean, Thomas, look at Daytona, like, this guy, he's been working hard, and, I think he's going to be a championship contender all the way through this year.
Yeah, and what's really neat is that, there could be some mix-ups this year. I mean, some of the young new talent that we've got coming up. I mean, Bryce Ford, yeah, one of those. But I mean, last year, Alan Myers, he's a little more, I think, seasoned now. He's got his feet wet, and a few of the guys that are kind of fast. I mean, I think we got some top 5 potential, and they're proven to be fast starters, man. I mean, and you're having to work past them. This year, I think, is pretty exciting from a racer standpoint.
It really is. And it was very, not surprising, but it was very, like, impressive that, the showing that the sophomore class and the rookie class had at the first round of Daytona. Daytona is a different event. We're only on the track for about 15 minutes. So you put it that way, we got about 4 or 5 more laps after that, like big laps.
Right.
So you'll tell the tale a lot at the next round, where everybody's going to fall. But for speed wise, I mean, a lot of those guys, like, Bryce, even, Brandon Hogue, Alan Myers, like, said he could showcase what he could do.
Right.
For Strelly, and then you have like, a couple other riders that it's just a different race down at Daytona that you don't get a good start, you're not going to run up front. It's just the way it's going to be.
And I think with this new talent, I mean, if they get a good start on the big tracks, and sometimes it's tough to pass out there, if they're good at defending the lines and stuff, and there's some separation, I think it's going to change things up a little bit this year. Yeah,
I mean, I think it's definitely going to. It's not if it's going to. I think it's going to. And I just, for me, the racing's going to be more intense. You're going to have different riders. Like, I'm not going to be up there racing the same 3, 4, 5 guys. It's going to be hopefully 7, 8 guys, that will be up there in the mix of, getting a good start and having to race through people. And, it's kind of a little teaser of what can be to come, here in a couple months when we get back to it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm pretty excited for it. I'm not going to lie. Like you say, Daytona's a totally different beast, but it is something good to give gives every rider, I think, a boost of confidence. And if they don't get the boost of confidence they're looking for, they can say, oh, well, it's Daytona. Daytona's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the good thing about Daytona. You can use it either way.
Yeah, definitely. And, just racing there is really, really great. And it's different racing, tight racing. But like this year, Thomas ripping the start and, me tagging right behind him. And then it was kind of a freight train to the top 3 of us. And I didn't know where I was going to be, because like me trying to push Thomas around, and I couldn't find anywhere to get around. And, Joel behind me, he's really pressuring. And I was like, all right, well, I gotta wait for my time for either Thomas to make a mistake or me get a really good run on him. And Thomas made a little bobble, and I was able to get through and then put some distance between those guys. And those two had their own battle themselves, and didn't end very pretty for Thomas. And, doing all that work for 8th place finish. I was pretty bummed for him because he rode really well, that day, and he deserved a podium. But there's a reasoning behind that, and but I mean, it's going to be exciting racing, just from the fireworks from the first round. I know that.
Yes, no doubt. And I'm pretty pumped and I'm pretty excited about that. There's no doubt about that. I mean, like you said, 7, 8 guys, and I believe that we're getting that field. I mean, obviously it's going to be maybe 4 guys that you can look at taking wins. I think that maybe even 5 guys. I mean, obviously we've got you and Joel and Thomas that are more than capable of taking wins, but Jeffrey, I think, is falling into that realm. I think Nick Janusa is going to fall into that realm as well. And like you say, with the sophomores and the freshmen, man, who knows what's going to happen with those guys. And like I said, with the extra talent out there and starts, who knows the way these races are going to turn out this year. So I'm super pumped. I'm super excited. Let's see, a couple things that we've already, I guess, kind of touched on. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Redbud last year, man. I mean, what exactly did happen for folks that know? I mean, because it's a strange oddity that you finished off the podium. It'd been so long, and that was one of the big hype things that we talked about every round, coming into the races. It's amazing. And then boom, you have that one. It was a chain, from what I understand, and sand getting up in the chain. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Realistically, I came out that moto and everything was going well, and all of a sudden, we spit a chain off. And so when we diagnosed the chain, the master link was missing. So I'm guessing that a rock or something spit the master link key off. But I've been told, prior to that, hey, better look at, running the riveted chain link. And, I was honestly going into that event, I thought about, changing to that, but I haven't been able to test it. So I would have felt worse going to that event that if I had a failure from the riveted master link than the master link that has won me 6 championships prior to that, and that's what I continue to run. And it finally caught up to me, and it's just the way it was. And maybe it wasn't meant for me to win the championship that year. So, but it has me hungry for this year. I know that.
I know I'm a race fan, man, and I love you all. I mean, I do. I think as highly as one as I do the other, man. And I just love the talents that you guys showcase and are able to bring out on the track like that. But, I love the drama too. My position where I'm in, I need that drama out there, being an announcer and stuff. So, I think it made for an exciting year. I was very disappointed for you. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of heartbreaking because, that I lost, number one, I lost that hype. I lost that hype about you. I didn't have that to talk about anymore, and now I've got to look for other numbers. I was just asking you a little while ago, before we got on, how many wins do you have? How many moto wins? So I'm going to have to go back and research all that. So we've got other hype to talk about,
Yeah, it's just one of those things that it happens. It happens to everybody, and I've been pretty blessed to have a good program behind me that's won me that many championships. But there was a day that was going to happen, and so be it. And I just take the positives out of every single situation of that. Anything that happens to me, like if it would have spit the chain off about 3 or 4 seconds later, I was hitting that big T2. So, it's
that was a blessing then, man.
yeah, it definitely is. And, it kept me safe. I walked away from it, and I was able to continue trying to compete for the championship in the final 2 rounds. And I wish I would have been able to get more to that, but, it's, I wasn't able to. And Joel won it from there. And,
It's
I'm
like
just
you said, it just made you hungry. And I mean,
yeah,
it really, honestly, Chad, I mean, as hard as it probably was on the paycheck, because those championship bonuses, I think, are probably pretty prime for you. It was good for the sport. I mean, it really was. I mean, things like that, mix-ups like that are good for the sport. It's just too bad it hits you on a couple different levels. And, you know, the same thing happened to other people, like you said. I mean, it's not just you that it happens to. It happens to other folks, too. One other thing that I do want to talk to you about, one question I want to ask, and I want to give you a chance because, you know, I hear a lot of stuff behind the scenes and people talking about things. And what I want to talk about is the production rule. You know, I mean, we've had a great pro production class, that new class that was started there last year, where it was basically bone stock bikes almost that you guys are racing. That's been an ultra cool class, I think.
yeah, and I really think it's going to continue to build. Like I'm down here right now, and we're kind of we're secluded, and we don't know when we're going to be racing again. So I'm going out, and I'm actually riding my production stock machine quite a bit because I know for one thing, it's going to be easy for me to maintain that machine and go ride all the time. And, you know, just a fun machine to ride. I think it's very safe. Like, you don't go that fast on it, but you're still pushing hard, you know, through the
Right.
turns. So I think your risk level is a lot further in the negative than, let's say, one of our race machines that they fly around the track so fast. But I think that's like the future for riders that don't have like a big paycheck to go out and buy these pro level machines that, you know, you go into the C class and take a look around. There's really high dollar machines that are in there. And for a new rider to come into the racing scene and try and go race against a machine like that, gosh, like that's going to just be like, all right, I'm done. I can't
Right.
compete
Yeah.
with that, you know? So we feel like this class puts everybody on an even playing field, and it's very good racing. And
There's some changes in the pro sport, pro am. I mean, there's been some big changes. I didn't make it to the banquet this year. I was down in Florida for the mini O's, but I understand there's been some class changes and things like that, because I know there were a lot of questions, a lot of debating, I guess, would probably be a good thing about the hybrid situation, allowing the hybrid bikes, like keeping you know, a Honda, but allowing them to use the four-stroke technology that they've been, I guess, experimenting with would be a good way to put it, through the, you know, until they reach the pro classes and stuff like that. And from what I understand, we've got the AMA Pro ATV class, but we've also got like an open pro class now that you guys are going to be running. Is that something? Am I picking up on that right?
they do have, so they basically made the pro am class open to pros to be able to
Okay.
come into it, no matter what, if you're the champion or not. I think that's the easiest way to put it, so that it's not confusing, I guess you'd say. And
Right.
then they moved the pro sport is now considered, you know, what would you call it? I mean, it's considered pro sports still, but it's I think it's just ran on Saturdays. Still, I guess you'd say. So, but like for me, I 100% feel like the pro class needs to stay production if there's still a production unit being made, because I feel like we're taking steps back in the future of riders to be able to make a living at the end of the day. You know, I know what I've been through, like the 2007, 2008 era, where we had all these factories involved. Racing was so good. Like there was like 7-8 riders or more that go out and win races, and we were making a ton of money. But
Okay.
now we've taken a step back, and we're back to one manufacturer producing a machine. So
Well,
we got to try to get it back to some other manufacturers stepping back in.
right.
I feel like it's harder to get a manufacturer back in than it is to get a second one in.
Right. Now, I totally agree with that, and I do. And I've been around, and I think I don't know if you were around in the 90s, in the late 90s, mid 90s, and late 90s before the factories and everything came in. But, I mean, I don't know what the dollar figures those guys were making were, but it seemed like there were a lot of people that were able to make money during that time. There were a lot of aftermarket companies that were making money. That is what made the sport what it was and what got the factories re-interested in that. Do you think, and this is just a question, I understand and I completely agree with what you're saying from that aspect of we've got Yamaha that's still dedicated to making a production ATV that, is, for racing and stuff. But I mean, at the same time, if say all these other aftermarket companies, and I'll use Honda in particular, they want their name out there and they want that recognition, but they're not making a Honda right now. What if all these other aftermarket companies started coming in and started taken away from those part sales and things that some of these other companies are having? Do you think that would entice it maybe to bring it back up? Because I think that's what maybe brought it all in anyway, because they saw a market there. And if they see that there's still a market and somebody's making money, they're going to try to step into that. I mean, that's just a hypothetical. I mean, that's a question that I would think. I'm wondering.
I mean, there definitely is a possibility, but I see as in the 90s that people were riding two-stroke 250Rs, and it was a lot cheaper to ride one of those. Like, to do a top end in one of those compared to what it is in a four-stroke is thousand or more dollars difference. So to maintain a 250R is a lot cheaper, but I just honestly feel like it was a lot cheaper racing back then. Like, it didn't cost nearly as much to go racing, and but obviously it is an expensive sport. But I feel like our sport, the way it is right now, like if we went full hybrid, there would be a lot of people that couldn't afford that, because you have to buy a dirt bike engine. You can't buy just a dirt bike engine. You have to buy the dirt bike, unless you find an eBay type thing. But I just think the pricing's going to go out of the roof for that. But I mean, I'm not the guy that makes those decisions.
Right. And I understand. I totally understand where you're coming from. I mean, I do, but at the same time, I mean, I try to remove myself from the situation. I try to look at it from every perspective. It's a little harder when you're getting a paycheck from Yamaha Motor Corporation, for you to look outside that bubble, where it's a little easier. I understand where you're coming from. I totally agree. If I was in your position, I would totally agree. But on the other side, I don't know where I would be. I mean, if there were limitations to some of the hybrid stuff, maybe, like you said, but I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to get your and I think that you've got a very fair point there, and that's what I wanted to hear, was what your point, because I've heard the other sides of the points, you know what I mean? And, the big question is, I mean, number one, I want to preface this. I don't think that ATV racing is going to die. I don't think that it is dying. I just think we're in kind of a slump. But I think that I also see, and I don't know correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm also seeing in the youth, in the amateur ranks, on the local levels, it looks like things are starting to kind of revive a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it all has to start at the grassroots, the local racing, and then give these kids a chance to really get their foot in the water and get a handle on it before they come to race at the national level. Because you come to the national level, the competition's stiff and it's hard to catch up, in that short time of, going to 8 races throughout the year. Like, you have to learn very quickly to be able to compete. But it's I think that's the biggest thing, is getting riders at these local events that, they can just have fun with it, and then come to the nationals and really start to compete and, take it more seriously, I guess you'd say.
Do you find, as a pro rider, not just you, but all the pro riders, do you think that you have an obligation to help the local grassroots level of it? Do you think that you guys should maybe take an active role and start going out to these local events? A couple of you, maybe one or maybe two or three of you ganging up and say, hey, let's go hit this. Hey, let's go hit that. And let's put it all on our social media and try to revive things. Like, you ever think about anything like that? Do you think it's a responsibility you guys should maybe take on as pros?
Yeah, I mean, we've actually already have, Spider MX put on an event down here in Florida that, a lot of us riders really push for and try to promote to help, create the riders to show up to the event. And I actually had an event actually get landed on that same weekend in Argentina that I've already committed to, but I was actually planning to go there and race myself, just to be there and support it.
Right.
But, I mean,
what
I
about
do
the
have
NEATVs, the Southeast quads? I mean, D6.
Yeah, I'd love to go. I'd love to go to like an event there, but man, I'm far over in Illinois. That's a 17, 18 hour plus drive out there. So like for me, it's not manageable for me to do that. But what I can do is help in my local area to help with the local racing there.
Right. And, what's to say? I mean, whenever you're swinging through one week that you couldn't stick around an extra week, have schools or have some, do something. But I'm not just saying you in particular, but I think the whole pro class should be doing stuff like that. I think you guys should get together, and you and Thomas and Jeffrey, or you and whoever, and Joel and whoever, everybody. I think if you all did that and made a big, I think that would help on the grassroots. I don't know, man. I'm just throwing out ideas. I mean,
it definitely would. And, I think a lot of riders do that. And, you can't make people to go to these events. You can just try to help entice them to. But, a lot of riders, they just like to go and ride. They don't like to go and compete anymore. They just like to go and just spin laps and have fun.
I guess that's why GNCC is becoming so popular. I mean, there's a racing element to it too, but you get to go out and ride your ATV.
Yeah, I mean, you have plenty of time. Definitely on a GNCC track, it's you're out there for 2 hours. You can go nice and easy for those 2 hours. Or you can go out there and just go at it for 2 hours. It's I think that's definitely a cool thing, and I'm glad I experienced an event of that, and possibly be able to do one in the future. You never know.
Oh, I hope so, man. I mean, everybody wants to see you come over, man. I mean, I just think it's neat because you guys, whenever you come, there's an extra air of excitement. Joel came over last year, I think, mid-season to one or two. And, just the excitement that creates, having someone visiting from the ATV motocross scene, I think is pretty cool. And I think it was pretty cool. I think Chris Bithell may have done it at Unadilla several years ago, being maybe one of the first GNCC racers that came and raced an ATV pro race. But my hat's off to Josh Merritt, who came race the ATV Supercross.
Yeah, and I think he fit right in. Like, he was kind of worried when he went to that event. He's like, am I going to be the caboose of the pack and be like a distant, whatever? But he was able to, run the pace of, a lot of the riders. And I think that might have I think the ATV motocross might have bit him, just to get him. He's going to be back, I think. So I think he really enjoyed it. So, but I mean, it was excellent to have him. And we invite other riders to come out, and, I've come out and done one. I've only done one.
Walker Fowler, we need to. What's the deal? Walker says, yeah, I want to go out. He tells me I want to go out and get one, but they think that I'm too much of a threat and they don't want me to come and mix things up in a championship.
We welcome him anytime. And, it'll just be fun to have, a rider of his caliber on the track, and I think it'd be a challenge for him, but I don't think there's going to be much of a summer break this year for those guys.
Right.
But, hopefully one of these years it might fit in to be like, hey, let's set up a motocross machine and just go for it,
How would you, just out of curiosity, how would you feel about an ATV Olympics where there was a GNCC, a TT, and an ATV motocross or supercross, or maybe an ATV motocross, ATV supercross, and a TT, or a GNCC and an ATV motor. I mean, or all four of those disciplines. How would you feel about something like that in one weekend?
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. Like, if you could somehow, like, let's say, just change tires to your stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Because, you know, you setting up a TT machine, a full-on TT machine, a full-on GNCC machine, I think there's only a certain amount of people that would be able to have 3 different machines and set up for that. But I think it'd be really awesome, kind of like what they did at Gatorback, you know, several years ago. They did stuff with that. And I've always wanted to go to that event. I've never been there, but I've always, you know, read it in magazines and seen some videos of it and stuff like that. And I think that'd be like a really cool event to be like, who's the overall best ATV rider, you know, that year.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing that I'm looking for, I've got a great piece of property. Of course, now I need to talk to Scott Plessinger. He's got a great facility in Chillicothe, Ohio, that is at the Ross County Fairgrounds, where they have events that hold like 60,000 people. There's camper hookups. I mean, it's the perfect venue as far as something like that. The only thing is, I don't know if they have woods close enough that we could use to do a GNCC style thing or a cross country style thing. But I'm working on something like that, man. So if I come knocking on your door or ringing your telephone or something like that in the future, and I start talking to you about it, you know what I'm doing. But this is something that's been in the back of my mind for the last few years, and I thought, you know, I wanted to do it in 2021, but that was 2 years ago. I don't know if I'm in that position to do it that quick yet or not, but it's something that certainly is, and I want to make something big out of it. So if you got any ideas, I'd love to hear it. Chad, man, I told you 20 minutes whenever I talk to you. I don't even know how long it's been right now, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up, man. We've talked a little bit about everything. I hope that things continue to go well for you. I understand where you are, and I'm excited as what the 2020 season brings, and I'm sure you are as well.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, thanks for having me on, Rodney. And, you know, I just hope everybody has, you know, their good health, and we can get back to racing here sometime soon and get back to our moto family and just enjoy, you know, life back to normal.
Life back to normal. Ha ha. What is normal anyway, right?
Yeah. We'll figure it out again, right? So.
I think so. Well, Chad, any shout outs or special thanks you want to say before I let you go, or any parting shots, anything that we didn't talk about that you might want to let folks know about?
I mean, not much. Just I'm going to keep it light and, you know, just have enjoy my family time. But, you know, huge props to my program and everybody behind me. You know who you are, but I don't need to ramble off sponsors right now. But just you guys just enjoy your time and, you know, take this time as family time and, you know, make the most out of everything that we're given right now.
All right, brother. You have a blessed week and a blessed time off and a good time with your family, and I hope to see you at the races real soon.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, Rodney.
That's Chad Wienen, and I'm Rodney Tomlin, and this is Quad Radio, the Quarantine Files.